Ladies and gentlemen, the American return of Led Zeppelin.
Good evening. I said good evening. Oh, that's a bit better. Well, it's, we've been in California a little while, but let me tell you, this is the place.
That's right. You're in the right place. I'm in the right place. You're listening to All Things Led Zeppelin, the Zepfan podcast. I'll be your host for the next hour. My name is Mark McFall. We are on episode 4. We have a very special guest for you. So let's get started. I'm pleased to have today what you may call a mega collector. This guy's name is thrown around with the best of them. One of the heaviest collectors for sure. He has an incredible Facebook page which features mind-blowing pics of many rare Zeppelin items, and all I can say is I'm really excited to talk to this guy today. His Facebook page is called Scott Baker's Led Zeppelin page, so please welcome Scott Baker. Scott, man, how's it going?
Great. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys this podcast as much as I'm going to enjoy doing it.
Right, it's all about talking Zeppelin, right?
Right.
I've been around I started in the early 80s. I started with audio collecting and video collecting and of course, collecting memorabilia and stuff. And I have to say, I've never crossed paths with you before, like I have other collectors and such. And I personally haven't heard about you until actually social media and your Facebook page has come up. And I mean, dude, you are a heavy hitter by everything that I've seen you have. And I can imagine you just have a wealth of stuff behind that. How long have you been collecting for? And what's your backstory on it?
Probably started sometime in the late 70s.
Okay, so
which seems to be an average for a lot of people. You know, I was around for in between the Presents and waiting for the Into the Outdoor album, and
right. So let me ask. So okay, so you started with the Presents, got into that. I mean, were you collecting as a kid? I would imagine. Did you see Zeppelin?
No, I did not. I was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware, so all the shows I would have went to would have been the Philadelphia Spectrum. The last time they played there would have been 75, which I was too young for that.
Right.
Of course, 77 was canceled and 80 was canceled, and that's that.
Right.
So, you know, I got to see, the solo projects.
Okay, so which shows have you seen?
Plant, all his solo tours from 83.
Very cool.
Both firms. Outrider, several of the Page Plant, 95, 98, whenever it was, I don't remember.
Right. So you have the history of a lot of the collectors from the day, because we've all kind of experienced. As I mentioned, I got into them in 85. So the first time I saw Plant was 85, Shaken and Stirred, but we've all went through that whole 1988 stage. Are they going to do Zepp? And then they both started doing Zepp on their various tours, and the whole Now and Zen, and then of course Page and Plant getting back together. So it was good times too, and to believe that.
Well, actually, when Plant's first 2 albums came out, I actually loved them. I thought they were great.
Right.
So when he came to concert, I was ready to hear those songs.
Right.
And I was such a fan. I was very young at the time, so 83, but I was such a fan that to hear someone else do Page's part or Jones or Bonham, I found that disturbing.
Right, yeah, and I think all we heard too during that time is from radio, and at that point I think MTV was coming up, is he's not going to play Zepp. They're not going to do Zepp. Zepp was for a certain bunch of guys, and all of a sudden he comes back.
Remember the Burning Down side video came out?
Right, with the band.
The guitarist had the headband wrapped up. We were like, oh my God, is that Jimmy?
Right, and he did that on purpose. And all the girls too.
Yeah.
They have all the girls. I have a typical 80s video, right? You have all these girls, all these nice cars, and then the bandage guitar player on the table. So yeah,
with the shades, Black Les Paul. Come on, man.
Right. He's just teasing you, and he's always seems to do that.
Well, he did a good job. I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Oh, is that Jimmy?"
Right. And even his solo tour in '88, he started wearing that Jimmy Page shirt in concert and stuff, and doing the Zepp song.
Yep.
I personally didn't mind it. I loved it. I loved just being a part of it and just and collecting all that stuff. I do know a handful of people that had some issues with it and stuff, but. I just kind of took it for what it is, and looking back on it, it's interesting, that whole Now and Zen project and all that. And he achieved commercial success just like he wanted, so it worked out good for him. And then the way he
Well,
got
it's nostalgic now. It's old. It's
right, and it's kind of
got some years behind it.
yeah. And if you think of the process itself, it's kind of interesting because not wanting to play with Paige, and all of a sudden, hey, come play with two songs for me, and I'll play on one song for you. So using him in effect to kind of get Tall Cool One and Heaven Knows and stuff, and that really helped promote that stuff. But yeah, good times, man, for sure. So so you started collecting. At what age did you realize, or at what point did it's like, okay, I need more? Because it always starts with one magazine or having a couple, bootlegs and stuff like that. So at what point did you realize I'm in this deep?
This is what did it for me. Record stores were like churches for me.
Yep.
If I had no money, I hung out in there for 2 hours anyway. I just memorized all the records and everything. I moved to Claymont, Delaware, and I'm taking the bus to school. This would have been around 1980. And I passed this little shack of a store all by itself on the main strip, and it was records. So by the end of the week, I cut school. Took the bus to school, cut, and walked the railroad tracks home, and went in there. And he had all these bootlegs. I didn't know what a bootleg was at the time. I knew these weren't their regular covers. And if I recall right, the very first one I picked up, I think, was Live at the Lyceum, 69.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought every one he had. And he had the Big O posters with a little red outline. So I bought all those Zeppelin ones. I went home and I'm playing these. And the Lyceum 69 sounded like it was recorded outside the venue.
Right.
I've never heard a bootleg before, but the sound quality didn't bother me. It's the energy that I picked up on.
Right.
I'm like, wow, I want to be in there. So I ripped open the plastic, pulled out the next bootleg, and that was it. So it was Led Zeppelin live for me, and I had to have all the bootlegs because the recordings were just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how good or bad it was. Of course, the better the recording, the more enjoyable. But even the bad shows were like, man, this is how good they were.
Right. Right. And for me, in just listening to live recordings versus obviously bootlegs and vinyl, but I used to not like 69 as much when I first started because, 70, 71, 73, it was closer to the studio stuff. But now I go back and listen to 69 and I just sucked into it because It is so heavy and so raw and it is so different from night to night. It is mind blowing how much power they had back then.
You had energy.
Yeah. It was just...
They glue.
Yeah. Just nonstop. And they played like motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Right.
That whole 69, they played probably like 8 days a week pretty much. Anywhere Grant
but
got him a gig.
But they were good musicians, man. That's what grabbed me. They were great musicians. I remember getting a hold of Seattle 73 on vinyl.
Right. Yeah. Live in Seattle.
And
right?
that audience caught it. It's just like, man, I played that. I literally played the crap out of it with Skiff. I found another one. I had to buy another, probably on my third copy of that. But it's just that whole lot of love.
You're right.
Violent, man. It's like someone's being attacked.
Right. I agree 100%. And just the live bootlegs really helped everything kind of push everything along too, as far as being eager and wanting to collect and wanting more. So what song got you into Zeppelin or what album?
I remember playing backgammon with my brother a lot, and he would play Zeppelin 3, and I was just amazed. I'd watch his lips. He sang the lyrics to every single song, and I'm like, I want to be part of this. Well, all the older kids were heavily into this. I want to be part of this.
Nice.
And I got a hold of Zeppelin 4 on cassette, probably about 6th or 7th grade, and I had one of the little teeny flat top cassette players.
Oh yeah.
With one speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I carried it around in school, and on lunch, I would just walk around the track and play this over and over. I could not get tired of this album. And I just thought how perfectly balanced it is.
Yeah.
And from there, it just went off. And then once I saw pictures of the band, Page with the shades hanging off his nose, a cigarette, guitar down by his knees, a dragon suit, I'm like,
something about
the guy looks cool.
And I think that was the best thing about nowadays. We're just inundated with photos and all these pictures and stuff. So back then, you just used the resources you had. So I'm sure you looked at those pictures over and over again because I remember having a couple books and you would just hang out, listen to bootlegs and look at Neil Preston's portraits over and over again and tangents within a framework over and over again and just studying every single picture. Like, look at Jimmy, look at that pose, look at Plant. Oh, Bonham's hitting it right there. You know what I mean? So it just had such a great mystique back then too.
And they did that visual documentary. That was always one of my favorites.
Dude, I will tell you, that is still an amazing book, isn't it? Especially being a collector now. I mean, you go through that thing, and I think you probably found this too, being a collector. As soon as you started having everything in that book, it was like, oh, that's awesome. And or, when you first started.
Well, imagine when you first got that book. I didn't know half of this shit existed. I was like, wow, look at this blip and this. Wow.
In those matchbook cases and just some of the stuff you don't even know what it is. And you find it later and you're like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, I have a whole rainbow of those matchbook cases.
Yeah, those are
all different shades.
Yeah, nice.
They're from blue to yellow to like green to a red.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about, collecting memorabilia versus bootleg. So when did you go in from, being obviously into the music, getting bootlegs, then what prompted you to start collecting memorabilia? Well,
the memorabilia started when I was a kid, before Zeppelin. A Rolling Stones magazine, a Jimi Hendrix poster, a Leonard Skinner belt buckle. I just blew every penny I had on this stuff. I'm talking when I was 9, 10 years old.
Right, mowing lawns and
collecting. I didn't care about
right?
toys. I cared about records and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
So, when the Zeppelin came along, I was already down that hole.
Yeah, you're well seasoned.
And then going to like my first convention and getting an item that was in a visual documentary, then coming home and then looking at the item and then turning to that page and then the item and the page, and I'm just like, man, I have that. How cool is that? So, like I said, that rabbit hole, I just slid right down it. I've always been in the magazines.
Love them.
So
dude.
I really got heavily into the Zeppelin magazines. I remember one day, decades ago, writing a letter to Rick Barron.
Yeah.
I said, all right, let me see what this guy's about. I said, look, man, I'm in the magazines. Do you have any Zeppelin magazines? Waiting for this guy to respond. I have, these couple circuits of Rip Reader. He emailed me like 4 or 5 catalogs, and it was just pages full of them. Like, wow, I didn't really think of all these other countries having all these magazines.
Exactly.
At the time,
Yeah.
It's like, look at Japan and France, and I didn't think that. I live in America. We got a whole shitload of magazines here alone.
Yeah, you don't open up that until you realize you get one from a different country, and I think that's what's interesting, because that's when you know you're a true fan, when you start doing the pen pal thing, right? Because we didn't have the internet, didn't have email. It's just like you started writing people, trying to locate stuff, and I remember writing just out of the back of Goldmine, people selling Mexican magazines. They didn't say Zeppelin, just say, oh, we have a lot of, it's from Mexico. And I would write them, and of course you'd wait almost a month to get a reply. But when you get that letter, you open it up. Okay, what Zeppelin do you have? What Zeppelin do you have? And you're like, I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to buy it. Zeppelin on the cover, plant on the cover. And speaking of which, I mean, I love magazines too. And I have my good friend, Bob DeLear-Snyder, who actually got me into Led Zeppelin. He's a huge print guy and loves magazines and loves books. And, he's gotten a lot of great stuff, but I love them. I mean, I think it's good. It's interesting to see the price have fluctuated so much with the internet now, with eBay, because some of the stuff that would go so expensive is really cheap, or you can't even give it away now. But of course, when those rare ones come up, it's a must have, because, you're not going to find any. So
yeah, if I've never seen it or don't have it, I go a little crazy about it. I was like, wait a minute. I'll eat peanut butter and jelly for the rest of the week,
How many magazines do you have with them on the cover? Or do you collect them inside as well, articles, or it's just more of them in the cover?
Yeah, if it's cool and it's, they're not going to kill me with shipping and all that, I do the old magazines. I'll dice them up if they're not on the cover. And I put them in 3-ring binders as a timeline.
Oh, very cool. So you're very organized.
If it comes out like an October 71 magazine, I'll put a little 1071 real small in the corner.
Very cool.
And then when I go into the scrapbook, I know exactly where to fit it in.
Right.
But as far as just the full magazines, probably towards 1,000, I would imagine.
That's getting up there.
And I've sold off probably a lot of the newer ones. They're just always on the cover somewhere, and I couldn't keep up. So I stopped doing that. I just bought the vintage ones. So about 1,000 after I sold all this other stuff.
Right, like Mojo and classic rock and all that. There's so many.
Right, they're just too much, too thick.
Yeah, and I think from a collector standpoint, I mean, there's nothing wrong with collecting them all, but I think it really comes down to 68 to 82. I always consider 82, not 80. That's just me personally, just because that's when Coda ended. That kind of seems like that was the end of Zeppelin in theory for me. But I think those are the magazines that are the ones that are really exciting, because those are the ones that came out during the time of Zeppelin. So while
they were active. Now, I'll dip into the 80s if it's nice, like you mentioned a Mexican magazine from '84 with a nice live shot of plant or something on the front. I'll take that under consideration.
Right. I love all those. Those are really good magazines. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Now, I've noticed a lot of this about these Mexican magazines. Their covers sometimes don't match the contents. Now, if you pay attention to this, go dig out all your Mexican magazines and compare it. I bet you'll find at least one or two there that don't match up. I'll get one with it says 1970, contents and everything in it. But the picture on the front was a shot of them in 72.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, well, how did you do that?
Wonder, if that's like they had a different magazine and just had that cover and maybe did that.
Yeah, and I looked at them. I mean, these are some, Mexican magazines come in all different sizes,
right?
Too. Some of those little small, like Reader's Digest and all that.
Yep.
But I mean, I really examined some of these, and they look pretty good. Some of them look kind of questionable.
Right.
But it's always the Mexican magazines, little devils.
Yeah, well, and they're kind of shady with the 45s as well, because they kind of make up promo singles and kind of.
I see them all the time. Radio special DJ only or something.
Yep. And the problem is those come out and the first person hits it because they're like, oh, I have to have it. Then all of a sudden, word gets out that they're fake. So it's like the first person always has to take a hit that's for the other people. I was thinking of, too, is those Japanese magazines. There's a handful of Japanese magazines. I shouldn't say handful, but I know there are some. I think it's the Pop Hits, for example. They don't have a lot of Zepp content in there. They might just have Zepp on the cover, but no Zepp content.
Yeah, that's very common. Yeah. I've noticed as well.
Right. But, for me, I like just the covers. So, because if they have a cool cover. In Japan, I have to say, I love their covers too, because a lot of times they don't put a lot of stuff on the front of the cover. They just have put an awesome, page.
Like Rockin' On.
Yeah, right. And they love Page because pretty much all those magazines over there are all Page. There's some with Plant, Jones, one with Jones, I think one or two, but I think the ones with...
You have to stand at bass on Player, 78 issue, yeah.
Is that one awesome or what? That is the coolest cover. Because,
of course, he's got his hands on his hips.
Right. And you never see Jones anyway on a cover, so for seeing that one. And there's also the other one, I think Alberto sent me a picture of it. I think it's from 75 from Earl's Court or something, and Jones is on keyboard.
Taken from behind,
right
to the side of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Music Maker, it's called, and that's a 1978 issue.
Right, you have that one?
Yes.
You are the man, dude. You are the man. Mm-hmm. Speaking of magazines, what's your, I guess, most valuable, or let's say rarest? Because I think when you go collecting is always kind of a interesting topic, right? Because you have rare, but you also have value. So even though it's worth a lot, it may not be the rarest one. But
to me, there is no value to them. I'll put any value to buy them. But once I get them, just having them, I put them on display. I know I'm not one to put this stuff in boxes. I like putting it up. That's how the Zeppelin page started. I got tired of all my stuff in boxes and not know where to put it. So it's I started that for myself. And hopefully if other people enjoy it, rock on.
And that's the way to do it. That's why you put all that time and effort in collecting, right? So you could see it, not so it's sitting in boxes.
Yeah, I like looking at it.
Yep.
I've got it's a tough to say one out of 1,000.
Right.
I have one called TOI Top. I believe it's a Danish magazine from 1975. Is
that with Page on the cover?
Yeah. Yes. Live shot. Yes. Earl's Court.
Yep. I think I know. I think you have that on your website as well, right? On the Facebook page?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I found that for Bob a couple of years ago as well. That's a
tough one to find, and that's one of my favorite covers of all. I mean, that's really. And there's also, as a fan wise, just not for value or rarity. There's Young Guitarra did 3 issues, 2 from 70 or 1 from 78, 2 from 79, and they each have a live shot of Page on the front. And one has his Dan Electro, one has his double neck, and one has his Les Paul. And they're great shots. I have them in a case leaning back. Yeah. Those 3 right there really, really get me. I really dig them. But as far as extra rare ones, well, that Poppin', you remember that one I had Poppin'?
Right, with Page on the cover.
Canadian.
Right? From 69. I think that's a Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a beauty. That thing is dead mint, too. I was really surprised to get that.
Yeah, that thing's wild. Especially you can't go wrong with a magazine from 69. I mean, that's pretty wild because that's the beginning of it.
The band just came out. So, anything with them on the cover in 69, I want to jump on. Especially a full cover.
Exactly. And I'm going to kind of sidetrack a little bit, just talk a little bit about the documentary. And I think that's the tough thing about them doing the Becoming Led Zeppelin documentary is, it's only covering 1969 basically. So there's not a lot out there. For video, they're at a festival and they're filming all these bands, and Zeppelin might have been one of them, but it wasn't like the main act. So I haven't seen it personally, but just I'm going by reviews and stuff. So
Well, I dug the footage of the early shows or even pictures. There was never anything on stage, but just them and their equipment. That's because that's all you needed. That's all that band needed. They didn't need any gimmicks because people were just jaw dropped staring at them.
right, exactly. And it must
Look at the song I made just saying, "Don't Since I've Been Loving You." When the camera pans over and there's that cop looking out there, he's lost.
Right.
He's not even high and he's lost.
And I could imagine, because I've never seen him either. And I think about it, and it's just in 69, it had to be such a small club and it was probably really loud and just
and distorted and raw.
Right. And just playing at the top of his, yeah.
What? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Right. And Plant was you could see why Plant's voice probably struggled years later, but man,
how did he not get whiplash?
Dude,
some of the 69, he would just like go on a spasm real quick. They made some really great photos though.
Right, and I think that's we talked about 69 earlier, and it's just like that. I mean, they just went all out. They just gave it everything they had every fucking night, and it just power, man, just so much power.
Yeah, it's a shame for them they didn't have more material back then. But they were like, as soon as they got together, like, well, shit, we need to go out and play live, man, to show people what we're about. And, they even though just a handful of songs, that's all they needed.
Right. And, I've often wondered because there has to be early tapes somewhere. And that's, from what I heard, they're not on Becoming Led Zeppelin. It's kind of sad, but there has to be some early documentation knowing Page, that some of that stuff had to be recorded in the studio. And there's also the talk about, Grant going to see Atlantic and bringing a tape with him from one of the shows. So this had to be an early 68 or a late 68 show, and just hearing that kind of live tape, man, it would just be mind blowing.
You see the new the Blueberry Hill 70 footage?
Oh yeah, classic.
Man, that's good stuff.
Right? It's just in such an interesting angle.
Yeah, that's another good thing. And Lisa, you know what I also liked about it? It's long. It's not all chopped up.
Right. And just seeing John Paul Jones during Whole Lotta Love hitting the drum, it's like, that's something you've never seen before. It's like, oh, that is cool.
Yeah. So, if you would see a photo of that, you wouldn't think much of it because he would be just standing there. So you would have to see it on video.
Exactly, because you don't know what he'd be doing with a stick in his hand. So yeah, and just seeing that and just putting two and two together, it's like, that is incredible. So, and I'm a huge video collector, and I can imagine being in the shoes of syncing that. And if you're syncing that footage up and you see Jones like that the first time, you'd be blown away by it.
Yeah.
So. Good stuff. So so talking about magazines, so is there anything you don't collect, or is there any areas else that you like to specialize in? It sounds like you kind of get everything, and looking at your Facebook page, I mean, you do all areas from, Mothership, remasters, and all that stuff. So, but is there anything?
Well, the promos, I dig the promos, so you'll see a lot of that. That's pertaining to all the newer stuff.
Right.
That's the only really new stuff I'll buy, or the promos, or vinyl, boot vinyl. Of course, I have those shows already, but just for the cover and for shits and giggles, I'll just buy another one, whatever. I like buying the newspapers if I could find them, because they're pretty scarce. Little newspaper articles on them, because I have a 3-ring binder also. Well, I have a whole bunch of them. I put the ticket stubs and any newspapers I can put in there, and fan photos. So I make a timeline.
Oh, very cool.
With that as well.
So I assume you heavy into the concert items as well.
Yeah. One thing I'm a little funny about are the flyers. Because they can be made too easily. I mean, you could print a flyer up, throw it on your dashboard, leave it there all summer, and bam, and now it's AIDS. Put a thumbtack hole in it, a cigarette burn. Very rare Indiana 71. $400. Someone will buy it.
Yeah, and I think that is with a handful of things now too, because you're seeing a lot of these shirts with the label. You kind of the giveaway, and you see a lot of them without the label, and they're trying to sell these for big bucks. But yeah, I agree with you. I actually got into handbills a couple of years ago because when I started doing my website, I always loved the posters, but of course posters are so expensive, and I can't get involved in that because with the collecting mentality, it's all or nothing. So what happened was, I found some guy in LA that had the Rose Palace handbills right? He worked for the Rose Palace. So I bought 5 Rose Palace handbills from him of Zeppelin, 1 handbill. So I sold the rest to my friends at that cost, just so they had them and we all had them. And then, of course, I'm sitting with 1 handbill. I'm like, what am I going to do now? I can't do anything with just 1 handbill. So all of a sudden, I started collecting handbills. Financially, they're a little bit easier to maintain over posters. So next thing you know, I have 40, 50, 60 handbills. But I agree.
That's a lot.
Right? And it just happens quick because, again, being a collector, you just have to have it all.
I have that like Japan 72. I have a bunch of those. And I have a couple of the Super Concerts 80. I really like them.
Those are cool. I like those posters, too.
Yeah, they're a little expensive.
I went to Dave Borganova's house. He used to be a huge poster collector back in the day, and I was doing my No Quarter magazine at the time, and he let me take pictures of all the posters. And I remember back then it was like, $500 for a poster, and that was a lot of money. But now that thing is $5,000, so it's like, oh man. But the posters were always, from a collector standpoint, that was a next level up, right, of collecting. That's big bucks.
There's a few posters I passed on, like Vancouver 70.
Love that one, the green one?
Yeah, man. I passed on that probably 20, 30 years ago, though. So I didn't know, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, maybe I'll find another one. He wanted a few bucks for it. And it was kind of, at that point in my collecting, some things were a little high dollar. I'm like, I don't know if I'm there yet.
Right. I have to say that's probably one of my favorite posters too. Just something about I think it's the green, and the pictures look really good, the way the drawings were, but that's a great poster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are some really doozers out there.
Yeah. So as far as other concert posters, anything else in your collection you want to talk about?
I've always been a huge fan of the posters from the head shop.
Right. Good time.
Back in the 70s, you go to buy it at record store, and you go through the...
Right.
Well, back then, they didn't really have much of the racks. They had them all over the walls.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll take number 12.
But just, that was such a big part of my youth. Just, because that was, the 70s is when all this shit really sprouted. The belt buckles and the T-shirts and the posters and all that, the tour books and all that. So, I had all the Zeppelin ones I could find, of course, growing up in the 70s into the 80s. And it kind of diminished out. Zeppelin was fading away and Plant and all that stuff. But as eBay came out and everything, I remember getting a Nebworth poster. I bought a new one I already had, and I'm looking at it. I was tickled pink to have this thing brand new again.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, all rolled out stuff. After that, I said, well, fuck it, I'm going to start buying them all over again. And that's what I did.
Oh, the head shop posters?
And yeah, and I'm a good gaga over them till this day. I've got hundreds of them. They're all laid flat. And I have big shelves that are wide enough to hold them, and they're all stacked up. I stopped my Zeppelin page because my hard drive went on my computer.
Okay.
So that pretty much ended that, in case anybody's wondering. And I was just ready to start a section on posters.
Nice.
And I was going to do just all that because I have so many, I can't hang them all up.
Yeah.
I need a mansion to hang them all up over the place. And that's not going to happen. But so I figured if I put them on here, I can at least look at them myself. And others can enjoy it too. But, my computer went. But I'm going to come back and get on back online. I'll probably change the name around.
Okay.
I had it on Scott Baker's Led Zeppelin page because it's on Facebook. But I've noticed these other sites have so many people, but I've also noticed they're starting their title off with Led Zeppelin. So if you type in Led Zeppelin, Scott Baker's not going to come up. You know what I mean? So I think I might call it Led Zeppelin Collector.
Right.
/ Scott Baker or something.
That's a bad idea.
Just so other people can have something else to look at.
And like I mentioned earlier, if you ever want to put some stuff on the website, my website, zepfan.com, please do. I mean, I'm sure fans would love to see it. And then you'd get, obviously, credit.
Do you have anything left?
Oh.
Do you have anything left on there?
Dude, there's so much. I mean, I have to thank everyone who's been part of it. I mean, Mark and Oleg and Nick and John. And there's 20 other people that I can't remember off the top of my head. But
I got to throw a couple items on there just to toss my name around.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. And that's why I started the page. So for me, it was one of my bucket list is to do a Led Zeppelin memorabilia book, kind of like a visual documentaries, something like that, like an updated with all the collectibles in there. But of course, doing a book's really expensive. And the bad thing about a book, as soon as you publish it, you're going to find more stuff or find mistakes. And at least with a website,
Yep.
you could always update
Constantly.
it and add to it. So it was like a perfect opportunity to do it. And I was lucky enough to partner with Mark. And if it wasn't for Mark, the site would have never happened. And we were able to kind of put together this site. And it took us 2 years to put it up. And I think it turned out really good. It's definitely a work in progress. There's a lot of great stuff in there. And I think there could be a lot more too, because there's so much stuff. And I think it's a lot of fun just having something in one place too. So if you're a vinyl collector, you mentioned magazines, we have almost 1,000 magazines on the website. So it's really cool. And it's all good quality too. It's not like something that was just taken off the internet that's all pixelated and stuff. It's really good. And that was kind of my goal on it. But yeah.
Right. That's a good
Feel
thing.
free, brother. Anything you want to send my way, go right ahead.
Yeah, I have to look on there again and try to find something juicy that you don't have. But like I said, there's so much stuff on there. It's just mind-boggling. And plus, someone like me looks on there at stuff that I don't have. It keeps you up at night.
Right. It's the collector in you, right? It's like you could have...
If you're a big enough fan, you'll know it. If seeing that shit keeps you up at night, you'll know right then
right.
and there.
There's 51 items and you have 50 of them. You're going to be pissed that you didn't have that one, right? Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, you'd be tossing and turning. God damn it, man.
And it's going to be the one that got away too. It's the one you could have bought, like the Vancouver poster, right? I had my opportunity to buy that.
Yeah.
I should have bought it. Speaking of which,
if that pops up now, God knows what it would run. Or how many people would go after it.
Right, yeah. I remember...
I'm not rich, you know what I mean? So, I have regular day jobs and all. So I'm happy to have what I have because I spent a lot of money on it. None of this shit's cheap,
right.
As we all know. But, I've went plenty of times eating peanut butter jelly sandwich all week to have an item. I figure, you know what? Next week I'll be eating steak, looking at this thing. So there you go.
Well, I think you're probably in a position too. If you really had to, you probably have extras you could turn around as well and make a little something on the side just to kind of compensate for buying something else. So
I've bought so many doubles of stuff over the years. I see something pop up for a good price. I'm like, oh, that's definitely worth that. Even though I have 2 or 3 of them, I buy it. I got injured at work a few years ago and had to start pulling out doubles of stuff. And it was selling like hotcakes. And I couldn't believe how much I was accumulating on this. And I was like, damn, this is just doubles. So the public's appetite for Zeppelin Memorabilia, it's still there.
Well, if you're in the early days of eBay, there was a lot of good stuff for fairly cheap. Back when it was only 10 pages of Led Zeppelin. I mean, now it's 4,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was driving me nuts. I didn't have a computer, and I said, I had to go all the way across town to my buddy's sister's house.
Right.
And sometimes she'd be at work and leave the door open for me.
Right.
And I go in there, and you're right, it was like 10 pages. And I was like, come on. I would just sit there all day and wait for something to pop up. Come on.
Right. Exactly.
And now there's just so much stuff. Sometimes I get on there now, and I have to scroll and keep scrolling. It's T-shirts.
Well, yeah.
For like 300-400 in a row. I'm like, how does eBay allow that?
Vinyl's definitely made a comeback, right? Because, I mean, I know when I search eBay, type in Led Zeppelin, it seems like the first, few pages are also vinyl and shirts.
I noticed the bootleg vinyls come through in waves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like there'll be like a handful of them all pop up, all these, like a few years ago, it was like all these 73 shows popped up on vinyl.
Right.
And they just kind of disappeared. Now there's a wave of all these 69 shows popping up, and they're slowly starting to diminish. So another year or so, we're going to have a wave of something else, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. I think that's also the bad thing about eBay, because you have all these collectors looking at one item. So it's just more of, and usually when it's a rare item, you usually know the heavy hitters that are bidding on it. So it's just going to be an all-out war for it. Whereas the old days, you're hunting.
But then again, in the same sense, though, a lot of the heavy hitters already have this.
True.
Shit, so
well, you hope they do, so they're
bounces out.
They're not bidding on it, right? So what was the last thing you bought?
Oh, I just got in a Brazilian pressing of Zeppelin 4.
Oh,
I've never seen.
Very cool.
I'm not really much. I'll go after like the pressings of the vinyls because you get a Zeppelin 3 from Germany. It's just going to say press in Germany, real small at the bottom. There's not much really uniqueness about it to me anyway. But other people find loving it, and that's good for them. But this one says Led Zeppelin. If you open the album to the front and back, it says Led Zeppelin real big in black.
Oh, very cool.
And it's funny, if you close the album on the front, it just has the N. The rest, Led Zeppelin or Led Zepp, ELI, is on the back. And on the front, it just has the N and then Roman numeral 4.
Wow.
And under that, it says Brazil.
Interesting.
On the back, it says Inieto Simultaneo USA.
Okay.
So it's not supposed to have anything on it. So this, obviously piqued my attention, so I grabbed it.
Right. Was that eBay or something?
Like I said, I've never seen eBay. Like I said, I've never seen one. It's on the Atco label. So I grabbed it. So I have a handful, mostly Zeppelin 4s. I got some nice physical graffitis from like Singapore and stuff like that. And,
right. I like those oddball ones, the ones that have different covers, right? Even though they're not legit, like the South Korea ones, those are always pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a Zeppelin 2 called Crash Landing.
Oh, yeah. I think I am.
It has a picture on the front of a helicopter or something in flames.
Yep.
Something in rubble. I thought that's a very strange one. I don't know the value of it. I don't see too many of them. And I think Whole Lot of Love is a mid-off that, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at mine in a while.
Yeah, I've been putting up, Nick Anderson provided a lot of compilation LPs lately, and I've been uploading those to my website. And it's interesting, and the price for the compilation LPs aren't very much too. If you look on eBay or Discogs, it's not that bad, but it's pretty interesting because the ones with Zeppelin on the cover are pretty cool. There's a really cool one. I don't know. It has Iron Butterfly and Led Zeppelin. I can't remember the name of it, but it just had a total psychedelic cover, had an awesome picture of Plan on there. So it's kind of cool what they did back in the day.
They're like in Taiwan or wherever, do those little albums, like you were made like song hits.
Dude, yeah.
Have Zeppelin on the cover, but no music on it. I bought one. There's that famous photo you always see of Zeppelin in '73 where Plant's throwing his hair back. They made a carnival poster of it, and there's iron-ons of it and whatnot. Well, it had that on the cover. I noticed a lot of those Korean, whatever, these foreign hits albums, they use that same photo, and then you flip on the back, and there'd be Page standing there. But I bought one thinking didn't mention anything about it was a 33 or 45. I just assumed it was a 33. Right. But I got it in the mail as a 45.
Oh.
I've never saw one, a small one like this before.
Right.
No Zeppelin material, just had that live shot of Plant on the front.
Right. And well, there's a few of them from Thailand too, with the Song Remains the Same image on the front, the white with Song Remains the Same image, but there's no Zeppelin on it.
Yeah, I have 3 different ones.
Isn't that crazy? Because one's not enough. Even if it's a little bit different and it's unique, you always have to have it. I absolutely love those Thailand.
Well, the songs are a little different. Right. I think one has Boston, one's Kansas. And big wigs of the 70s.
Very cool.
But yeah, you see another, it's like, well, I don't have that one. I don't have that one either. So, you got to get them all.
Right. And it's also, if you haven't bought anything in a while or it's kind of dry, it's like, oh yeah, I could buy that. I could add that.
Oh, I know about that. If I go like 2 or 3 days, I got to surf for some crap or something.
Well, what's funny? It's always about, it's the hunt and the kill. And then once you get it, you spend all the time searching it, you get it in the mail, then open it up. Great. Goes on the shelf. Then it's on to something else.
Yep. Into a box. But the neat thing is, if you go like to say I have a million magazines, and it's a long gap before I get one I don't have.
Well, dude, at 1,000.
And then when I get one, and then when I go to put it away, I have to dig through the box where all the other ones are, and I'm like, wow, man, I remember buying this one. So you kind of get to reminisce.
I know, isn't that fun? It's fun though too, and sometimes.
But on a rainy day, if I'm really bored, I'll just pull a box out.
Right, yeah.
I have boxes and shelves everywhere, so I just pull a box out and just go through. It's like, wow, I don't even remember buying this. How about that? This is kind of cool anyway.
Right. So do you have a list? I mean, is everything in a database for you so you don't buy duplicates, or is it just more of up in your brain? It's like, okay, I don't think I have this. Or
it's in my brain. Yeah. Sometimes I may have to double check.
Right. On
certain items, like ticket stubs. It's like, wait, I'm not sure if I have that one or not. I'm going to go dig out the book and 73, I don't have that one. Now I got to go get it.
Yeah, I got into ticket stubs, about 15 years ago, and I built that collection up quite a bit too. I like those because, it was right when eBay started, so I was able to accumulate a lot of them.
Yep.
When I first started collecting, I didn't like them that much. At the time when I started collecting them again, I'm like, these are really cool because, I mean, these are authentic. These went to the show. These were in the pocket. These went to that show.
That's the exact same shit I would say to people.
Yeah.
The exact same. I said, man, this was in their pocket. It felt the vibration and all the weed there, and it was there, man. I said the same thing. That's funny. I've never heard anybody say it that way.
Well, it is though. But I mean, it's more. There's nothing more authentic than. I mean, a concert poster could be in the record shop. It doesn't matter. But that fucking ticket that made it to the show. That was there.
Yeah, it was there. It stood in line in the rain, whatever.
Right. Well,
it's all been crinkled up because his hands going in the pocket.
Yeah, and it went from shoebox to photo albums and on the wall and all that. It has a pin in there. I mean, whoever had that just loved it, and it has a lot of good memories on it.
Now I try to keep at bay on the prices for them. I have passed on some because I'm not putting that much out for it. Some people are just like, hey man, this stuff's worth $1 million. Well, it's not. Not all of it.
And I think that's what's happening. You see that a lot the last 10 years or so. Anything with Zeppelin, it's like, oh, I'm just going to throw it up there. And everyone will be like, oh, I see it on eBay for, $500. I go, yeah, you could put it on eBay for anything. It doesn't mean it's selling for that. Especially Madison Square Garden tickets from 77 that are ripped. You can't get $500 for those. They're...
No. How about Chicago 77?
Right, right. Well, and
they're pretty hard not to get.
Right. Well, for some reason, that April 6th show is all over the place as a full ticket, too. Have you noticed that? That's like such a common ticket out there.
I have a full one of them, like a Ticketron style, not the usual Chicago style. It's a Ticketron. It says obstructed view.
Right.
The guy wanted like $20-$30. I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
Right. Yeah, it is just a little bit different, not something you see.
That's what kind of made the sell.
Right. And speaking of tickets, I saw one on your Facebook page. It was I don't think I've seen it before. Was it Pittsburgh from 77? Is that what it is? That's a pretty cool ticket. That's not very common, is it?
No, you don't see very many of them. That's the only one I've ever seen. I'm sure someone out there has other ones.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I was very happy to get that. That was one of the canceled. That was one of the canceled shows.
Yeah.
The last leg. But there were some other ones there. All this information, of course, is in that Evenings with Led Zeppelin.
Right, the August one's very popular too. It's interesting where Zeppelin would have ended up on that tour too, because it was going into all stadiums. Because before they were all indoor, then they did Oakland, which was outdoor. I know they opened up in Tampa, and that was outdoor. But it looks like they're going to do a lot of outdoor stadiums after that. So interesting where that would have gone, and it's also interesting where it would have gone after 80 if they would have came over here after over Europe tour. It's like, I wonder how well that tour would have gone for them.
Yeah, I've read that they were supposed to have possibly done Carousel Alhambra when they came to the States. And just if they at least, man, it'd have been great if they came over here, just at least got a couple shows in. So we could have had a recording, because those shows would have recorded left and right by that period.
Right, exactly.
Especially here in the States.
Well, and especially that time period too. So you have to wonder. But I mean, I think they done really good with their legacy. I think in a 10-year span, the albums they released, they kind of sealed it pretty good. So there was nothing really that bad out of the mix. I mean, those albums, obviously they did, are incredible. The shows themselves. I
think Page did a good thing by remastering each one individually and releasing with what's ever left in the vault. I thought that was a good thing. He sealed his legacy there. I think other groups should do the same.
Right. Well, it seems like a lot of groups are getting on that bandwagon. I have to say the Led Zeppelin DVD that they did, in 2002 was a great idea as well. I mean, they got rid of everything. So there was nothing you could complain about that DVD set.
I went out and got it before it came out. And I didn't come out of my house for like 2 or 3 days. First thing I put on was Achilles from Nebworth.
Right.
Like, wow, look at that, man.
Yeah. I paid the guy $50 at Barnes & Noble to sell it to me early because they had it on Friday and it was in a box sitting there. I'm like, dude, I'll give you $50. Just give me a copy. He did it. So I'm like, oh.
Well, I went in to do the same thing. But, these young kids working there, they don't give a shit. And they went in there to start throwing on the shelves when they weren't supposed to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And whenever I saw that, I said, no way is he supposed to be out till tomorrow or something. So I grabbed one. I was happy as hell, man.
Right. And it touched on everything. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about stuff that was filmed. And they probably wish they filmed more. But I think that was the great thing about that video set. They got rid of everything. They everything they had, it's on there.
Do you have any of the Walmart ones?
No, I haven't got any of those yet with the tickets in there.
Yeah, I pick them up here and there because where I live, there's Walmart on every corner.
Nice.
And just out of boredom, I grabbed Zeppelin 4 because I have all these Zeppelin 4 vinyls. I was like, what the hell? It's $20 or something.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it, and then the following week I went back, and it was sticking out because they're never in order at Walmart. They're all records all slopped up. And they had presents sticking out, and I could not stop looking at the cover with the big red sticker on there with the little swan song as it comes with the pass and all that. I was like, shit, man. Now I got to go buy presents. So I bought it, and then, of course, I go in there again, Zeppelin 3, got to get it, and I'll get 2 and 1 as well. But like I said, the Walmarts are everywhere, so they're kind of like pushing it in my face. I'm like, all right, I'll buy it.
Like I said, you just can't have just the one, right? It's like, I have the Walmart 4. Well, I might as well get the 3, then the presents.
Well, if you're standing there, presents is brand new vinyl, shrink wrapped, everything. It's like, I grew up in that era when you could go in there and buy all these albums brand new. That was magical for me. You get a birthday, you open up your card, you got $10 on Grandma. I'm like, oh my God, you get on your bike, ride down the railroad tracks, see the creek and everything. Right. Up to the record store, and you're like, what am I getting? Oh yeah. Physical graffiti, all mine.
Right. Well, listen, Scott, dude, I've totally appreciated this conversation. I totally enjoyed talking to you today. I mean, I could talk to you for a couple more hours, and I think we're going to call this one Scott Baker Part 1 because I definitely want to have you on again because you are an amazing fan.
Oh, man, I'm totally up for that. I'm totally up for it. I want to try to dig something out for more conversation. Well, I felt a little bit unprepared this time because this is new to me.
It was perfect.
Expecting.
Right. It's just talking Zeppelin. That's what it comes down to. And it could go in all directions. I think we covered the magazine, so we're good. So we could definitely talk about something else next time, right? But yeah.
Speaking of magazines and new purchases, I just did pick up a tabloid. Yes, folks, I was the winning bidder.
The 75 one? Was that it?
It was a 77 tabloid called Jukebox. JUTEBOXX. Had a big picture of a jukebox on the front with a live shot of a plant in there.
I don't think
it was from February 77. It's one of those free publications where they're even harder to find because people didn't really save those things.
Well, that's.
I'm gonna look on your thing there. If it's not on there, I'll submit it.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one. And just talking about free publications, it reminds me of that phonograph from '75. Because being a collector, you have it in your collection for decades, and you're like, I have that already. Then you quickly realize, there's a different one. There's a different one. Then now you're on a hunt to get all the different phonograph ones. And I think that's another one on your Facebook page. You have about 8 different samples of that.
Yeah, I've not seen any more.
Yeah. Well, I think
if anybody if somebody has one,
Well, I'll check my site and I'll let you know, and I'll just text you because I think I have about 5 of them on my site, so it might be there. We'll all.
At the top it'll say Pittsburgh or Ohio or.
Right, and you never thought about that in the old days, right? You never thought about it being different. It's like I own it, Then you quickly realize with the internet there could be more than one copy.
There's a 1969. They're very rare. Now you don't see them anymore. A few years ago, they kind of surfaced called Go.
Oh yeah, with the 69, with the page with the cowboy hat on the front. Yeah,
it's all bright yellow. That's another one that has multiple covers. At the top, it'll say Los Angeles, and there's another one. So I have 3 of those, I think.
Yeah, those are rare.
And being from 69, and I have 3 of them, I'm taking that as a blessing because they're pretty scarce. But even though it's the same cover and over and over, and everything changes what's written at the top, I get all, my tail starts wagging if I see another one. It's like, man, gotta have that one.
Yeah, because it is different, right?
Yeah.
Let me get the peanut butter and jelly ready. Let me grab that one.
That's it, Skippy, man. I'm putting stock into them ponies.
All right, dude. Well, tell you what. Before we wrap this up, again, thanks again, man. It's been a pleasure. And like I said earlier, I don't think we've ever talked before. Well, I know we never talked before, so it's been
we've been in touch, but we've never communicated. This is well overdue.
Right, and just I could talk for hours, and when it comes to Zeppelin, I could tell you can't do. So we could be here for all night, and I love it. But I kind of want to go through these questions. I've been asking everybody this. It's just like a one-word answer. So I'm going to ask you these questions
Okay.
and just answer for me if you don't mind. And this is going to be all Zeppelin
right.
related. Favorite LP?
Man, probably have to go with Physical Graffiti, I suppose. But how do you pick
Right.
one?
That
It's like how do you suppose you took all Zeppelin's catalog and you wanted to make a CD of greatest hits of Zeppelin to give somebody they'd never heard Zeppelin before.
you can't. Yeah.
And you can only put like an hour's worth of music. Which songs you're going to put on there? You're like, man, this is tough.
Right.
Probably Physical Graffiti because it's diversity. They're all over the place on that.
Right. And I think being a fan, like just starting out with Zeppelin, you really quickly realize how many great songs there are. I mean, obviously we've been into it for a long time, but even now my son listens to them. And I didn't push it on him. He just, all of a sudden has Immigrant Song and a few other Zeppelin songs on there because they're just good songs.
Now, where I'm at now on the East Coast, we're ready to hit fall.
Right.
Okay, it's going to get cold and wet and snowy. All leaves are going to be around, all over the ground. And this time of year, I kind of like listening to Zeppelin 3.
Okay.
It just goes with this. I live in the sticks, and, I drive down these roads all through the woods and all that. So it's just great to listen to this. And, of course, Presence is always high on my list.
Right. That's a Guitar Army album, man.
Go through all of them.
Yeah. Okay, so favorite LPs, Physical Graffiti. What's your favorite song?
I don't even think I can answer that.
All right, no problem.
Probably Heartbreaker.
Right.
I like Song of Me to Sing live.
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask, least favorite song?
Hats off to Roy Harper.
And favorite live Zeppelin year?
Probably have to go with 72 because they were just absolutely on fire. I like there was no publicity, and they outsold the Stones, and they were doing better than them. But Stones got they had the press,
right.
But they were just on fire.
Yeah.
And you look at anything from 72, there was nothing other than them on stage with their amps and equipment.
Yeah, it's such a quiet tour for everything else that's out there, even collectibles, and it just kind of mixed in with the 73 tour. It's kind of a quiet tour.
It just kind of slid under the radar real quick. And then, hey, 75 tour, here we go. Or 73 tour, I mean.
Right, and it's back in the 72 tours when they still extended a Whole Lot of Love and stuff like that. Then they hit 73, they kind of condensed the Whole Lot of Love melody section. So, yeah, it's an interesting tour.
A little bit more polished, right. I thought, for me. 72 was the last of the raw Zeppelin, I think. Right. If you listen to some of the Australian shows, Bonham sounds like a Gatling gun. It's just mind-boggling how good they were.
Okay, so let's see. That's favorite live year is 1972. Should they have continued after the O2 show?
Nah, probably not.
Jimmy Page or Robert Plant?
Solo?
So, well, just in general, like, are you a Jimmy fan or a Robert fan?
Jimmy Page.
Okay, and
we didn't mention this, and I have to bring this up. John Paul Jones' 2 solo albums,
right?
Thunder Thief and Zuma, are just great albums. And if anybody hasn't really listened to them, buy them and listen to them. The guy is a madman musician.
Yeah, I agree.
And the music on there is so rock and some of it's so raw. I can't help but think if he would have collaborated with Page and Plant, they could have had that Zeppelin fire again without being Zeppelin.
When you hear Zuma, that's exactly, it's so heavy as an LP, but if you picture Page on it too, it's just going to take it to another level. It's an amazing album, and even the other one is really great too. So I agree 100%.
Now, I saw Paul Jones in a University of Pennsylvania during with the Demand Day Gallus, the Supporting Life. Yep. There may have been 30 people in this venue. That was it.
I could imagine.
It's an old theater, and he was right there, and there was just like him on bass, a drummer, and her singing. That was it. I was like, man, that's a good power coming out of this.
Well, speaking of John Paul Jones, I uploaded to my YouTube channel the other day was Crackback from the Scream for Help LP with Page and Jimmy and John Paul. So it's an interesting take because it's really it definitely sounds like 80s, but it's definitely John Paul, and then definitely sounds like Jimmy Page. So it's an interesting idea where things could have gone for them.
Yeah, I thought that after all these years of Page not doing anything, I thought he should have done this years ago. He should have got the firm back together.
Right.
That would have been a good reunion tour.
Yeah.
And a new album. Paul Rogers wasn't doing nothing.
I think also thought it would be a good idea for him to do something like what Santana did with Supernatural, is kind of have like a all-pro lineup with all these great singers. But I truly feel that Jimmy feels like if it's not Zeppelin, he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, and that's done. He's just living off the name. Sorry to say, but you know what I mean.
But that's okay. We're getting Walmart releases now for it, so we're good.
Yeah, man, put your fist in there when you say that.
All right, so let's see. So favorite solo project?
I have to say Plant's first album.
And what was the first Zeppelin-related concert you attended?
That'd be Plant, Philadelphia Spectrum, September '83.
Good times, yeah.
I was a young boy there. I hitchhiked all the way to Philadelphia, and I snuck down on the floor, and the guards were coming after me, and there was an older couple there. I grabbed my arm and pulled me up on their seat.
Nice.
And I was tickled pink to just see him. I remember I had this very clear memory of him. In between songs, he wore the orange jumpsuit with the big black wrestling belt, whatever he had. And he was looking down as he was walking across the stage, taking a drag of a cigarette and blew the smoke out. And just that moment just kind of froze in my memory banks. So whenever I see him in that little orange jumpsuit, I think of that moment.
That was such an interesting period for just seeing Plant like that now, especially looking back. It's from going from Led Zeppelin, the open shirt, long hair, screaming, and then seeing him in that outfit. It was great for the time.
I remember I bought these tickets for Nuremberg '73 from this woman here in Pennsylvania. And she had 2 photos that she had took.
Yeah.
And after I got them, I contacted her. I said, do you have any other shots? She said, no, that's all we had. And I said, okay, well, since I have your attention here, I just wanted to know, do you have any memories or anything that stuck out to you at the show? She said, yeah, well, when we were there, how they came out with their shirts all open was kind of, shocking to us. And then for a moment, I paused and thought about myself. I said, I didn't really think about that. Being there at those times back then and them coming out their shirts all open, I mean, nowadays you could do whatever, we've already been through the Madonna phase and all that. But, I didn't think about that. I found that kind of interesting.
All right, cool, Scott, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And like I said, we're definitely going to do a part 2 sometime. And I look forward to it, okay?
Yeah, man, it was great talking to you. We have a lot more ground to touch next time, I'm sure.
You got it, brother. All right, man. Have a good one.
You do the same.